Wall Street hasn't seen 2 days this bad since the height of the financial meltdown nearly 3 years ago.
Facing increasing pressure from shaky markets and persistent warnings that Wall Street's woes could soon cost Main Street jobs.
Over the past 2 days, the Dow is off nearly 6%.
Meanwhile, help cannot come quickly enough.
A stark contrast to the political victory that marked Monday's shocking House defeat.
The security and well-being of the American people are at risk.
We're coming into a very serious time, a depression that will be much worse than the 1930s, and it's all due to human greed. I think the best solution is forming small communities, communities of people who come together not to take but to share. It's an easy solution. If a few people can live together in harmony, they can show a way to prosperity and happiness that will beat everything that we've known in the past.
What is that?
Researcher found it on the internet. It's put out by a spiritual community in California called Ananda World Brotherhood Village, founded by this man, Swami Kriyananda.
What does that have to do with me?
Thinking about doing a series on alternative lifestyles. I'd like you to go there, take a look around. If you like what you see, think they have some answers, I want you to write an article on it.
Are you serious, Jim? I'm a journalist, not a lifestyle reporter. What about the idea that I pitched you on corporate greed?
This is about corporate greed and solutions. Look, you spend your whole life digging in the dirt, you start thinking the world's a dirty place. Now, wouldn't it be great if we could give our readers some food for thought about alternatives for the future?
But a spiritual community? That's so not me.
Spiritual, not religious. You got a gift for getting to the surface of things, finding the truth. I wouldn't be giving you this assignment if I didn't expect results. Think of it as a week's paid vacation. If you don't connect to it, fine, we'll drop it.
Yeah, right.
Your ticket's online. Have a good time. I'll see you when you get back.
J. Donald Walters was born in 1926 in Teliagen, Romania, where his father, an American geologist, worked for Esso. From an early age, he was seeking something he calls truth. At 22, he became a disciple of the 20th century yoga master, Paramahansa Yogananda. After Yogananda's death in 1952, he devoted himself to spreading his guru's teachings around the world. In 1968, he inspired a group of young idealists to join him in creating the first Ananda spiritual community. Over the years, Ananda has grown to include 8 communities worldwide. Communities of like-minded people devoted to simple living and high thinking. Jim is trying to rein me in with his new age puff piece, but I'll find the real story there. If I'm not back in a week, come and get me.
Juliet?
David?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. How'd you recognize me?
I've seen your picture in profiles. I've read some of your articles. Can I get your bags?
It's okay, I've got it.
I get the sense that underneath your social criticism, you're a bit of an idealist.
I don't know about that. How far is Ananda?
It's about an hour and a half from here.
What brought you there?
Well, about 16 years ago, my wife and I thought we had everything we wanted in life. We had a beautiful house, good jobs, and friends. But yet there was still something missing that we couldn't put our finger on. We dabbled here and there in New Age philosophies, and nothing really seemed to stick until we found Ananda and walked in and knew I was home. There were people there that I'd never seen before, but they just felt like old friends. You ever get that feeling?
Yeah. Who's this?
That's Swami Kriyananda.
Sweet.
You know, that's exactly what I thought when I first heard him and his music many years ago. I'm a cellist, and I've played music all over the world, different kinds of genres. I joined the choir, and they had me slated to sing a solo in a concert. I thought, well, I better practice so I don't make a fool of myself. I started singing this short 40-second piece, very simple melody. And at the end of it, the song had changed my consciousness so dramatically, I couldn't explain it. Ever since that moment, I've been exploring the connections between consciousness and music.
Of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May.
Do you mind if we stop here for a minute? I'd love to show you something. I love coming here after being in the city. It helps me connect with something much, much bigger than myself. What really moves me is just the sounds all around us. It's like a symphony of nature.
David's obviously intelligent, artistic. He has a family, but it's like he was floating above this earthly plane. Spirituality and charismatic leaders make me think of cults, and cults can be scary. But David seemed like a genuinely good person, so I withheld judgment.
This is the symbol of Ananda. It means joy is within you. The word Ananda means joy. We placed it here at the entrance because it reminds us that the true Ananda, the true joy, is within each of us. The symbol came to Swami Kriyananda with images of the mountain, which represents aspiration, and the soaring lines, which represent our path here as we rise upward in aspiration, and then outward to embrace others in the world. The symbol of the bird there represents freedom for us all. Welcome to downtown Ananda. So if you like, you can have a seat here and I'll go get us something to drink.
Thanks.
Here. This is the Expanding Light Retreat. People come from all over the world to visit Ananda, learn how to meditate, and do yoga. This will be your room right over here.
It's nice.
It's cozy, but I think you'll find it comfortable.
Oh, it's great. Thank you.
Take some time and get settled in, and whenever you're ready, we can go see Swami.
I'll be ready in 10.
Okay.
Thanks. Not exactly the Ritz, but I figured it wouldn't kill me to live like a monk for a week. I'm never nervous before an interview, but going to meet Kriyananda, I had butterflies in my stomach. I somehow imagined I'd find him living like a king and the whole simple living thing would be blown.
Welcome to Crystal Hermitage.
Wow, it's exquisite.
To be in the presence of beauty is always uplifting for consciousness, and that's one of the reasons why it's so important to us here.
Is this Swami Kriyananda's personal residence?
Crystal Hermitage is open to everybody, to the public as well as the community. This chapel here was modeled after one built in Assisi, Italy, by St. Francis. Do you want to have a look?
I'm curious, why is Jesus on the altar?
Well, we're into the unity of all religions here. One of the reasons Yogananda came to the West was to bring what he called original Christianity and to show that the original teachings of Jesus Christ are in fact the same as those of ancient India. Jesus is in our line of gurus, and that's why we keep his picture on the altar. This is the tulip garden, where every spring 10,000 tulips are planted, and you should be here when the tulips come alive. It's truly a heaven on earth. Every year, thousands of people come just to be a part of this incredible place. Juliet, this is Lalita. She's our caretaker here at the Hermitage.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome, Juliet. This one room was Swamiji's entire house at the beginning of Ananda. This has been a place of deep meditation for over 40 years. We used to have community gatherings in this room, and at first everyone fit inside comfortably, but over the years it got a bit crowded. In the early 80s, Swamiji's parents passed away, and he received an inheritance. At that time, it was pretty obvious that Swami needed a little more privacy, but he just couldn't spend all that money on himself. So he built Crystal Hermitage. But by the time he finished building and was ready to build his own apartment, he ran out of money. So the community said, "You've built Crystal Hermitage for us, let us build your apartment for you." Hello, Swamiji. Juliet is here.
Welcome. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you. Welcome, Dave.
Hello, it's very
Forgive
nice
me
to
for not
meet
getting
you.
up. I'm getting a little old and it's hard to leap to my feet.
Nice to meet you, Swami
Nice to meet
Kriyananda.
you.
Nice to
And this
meet
is
you.
Nadiani. She's
Hi.
my personal assistant.
Nice to meet you. Well, thank you for taking time today.
It's a pleasure.
So I just wanted to spend a little time talking to you about the community today.
You know, we're living in an age now where there's sort of could go in two directions. Too much of it has been going toward negativity, selfishness, greed. But the other side is aspiration toward higher things. More breaking away from an age of thinking everything is just fixed and dogmatic and solid. But I think what everybody really wants is happiness. And you can provide the world with examples of where people live in harmony and happiness and think not of greed, not of what I can get, but what I can give. I am convinced that communities, small communities, intentional communities, that they will change the face of the world.
Is this a spiritual community?
Yes, it's very much, but it's not a religious community. Spiritual, yes, religious, no. I say that because religion to me means ritual, church, all sorts of things that are formal. But spirituality is a free-flowing thing. And if you live in kindness and love of others and so on, you're living in grace even though you may not know it. That which you have as your own highest aspiration, think of that as God. You don't have to think of somebody up in the clouds. God is in you. So that's what we live here.
So how did you meet Yogananda? Where did that happen?
Well, I was desperately seeking truth, not God, but truth. And I tried to find it in many ways. I tried through science, politics, the arts, and different things. Every one was a dead end. The turning point in my life happened when I took a long walk and I said, if there's a God, what must he be? And then I thought, well, I'm asking this question. That means I'm conscious. Therefore, he must be consciousness. This was, to me, a very moving moment. And I swore that very night, I'm going to give my life to God. Several months later, I went into a bookstore and I saw Autobiography of a Yogi. I read that book by Paramahansa Yogananda. It completely changed my life. I took the next bus from New York to Los Angeles, and the first words I spoke to him were words I never imagined addressing. I said, I want to be your disciple. And he accepted me right away.
How long did you live with Yogananda?
I lived within the last 3.5 years of his life, and he took me very close to him. I spent many days alone with him in his desert retreat. He spent a lot of time explaining the teachings to me in ways that I don't think he explained it even to people who had been with him for many years. He told me, you have a great work to do. And he said this many times. It was a wonderful life. I've never met anybody so great as he. Just looking into his eyes, it was like looking into eternity. There was no ego there. There was only a desire to serve and to help other people. I've dedicated my life to my guru's work, to him and his mission. It was the first thing that I found in my life that I could really believe in, so I'm living according to that belief. In fact, we have two guiding principles. One is people are more important than things. The other principle is yata dharma tata jaya. That's a Sanskrit saying. Where there is adherence to truth and right action, there is victory and fulfillment of all kinds.
Was there a moment where you decided that this was your life's work to create these communities?
There was a garden party in Beverly Hills. It was in his honor. He was invited to give the talk. He began with the most powerful talk I've ever heard in my life. And he said, this day marks the beginning of a new era. My spoken words are registered in the ether, in the Spirit of God, and they shall move the West. Thousands of youths must go north, south, east, and west to cover the earth with little colonies, demonstrating that simple living plus high thinking produce the greatest happiness. That was the most powerful lecture I have ever heard in my life. And I swore that I would do everything I could in my power to make such an ideal come true. I bought the land in '67. It took a lot of work. I taught different classes in yoga every night of the week in a different city, and it was very exhausting. But in the end, I got the money to buy the land. In 1968, we put up the first buildings. In 1969, we got the first community started. When people can see examples of people living together in harmony, at least a few people will go away thinking maybe it works. And that ideal will spread, I think, as Yogananda said, like wildfire.
I have many more questions for you, but I don't want to
I
take...
would love to answer them, but you know, we have a large community, and I suggest you meet them all. Then come back, and if you have more questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. God bless you.
Thank you. It's like a different world here compared to the city, surrounded by the vastness of nature, people practicing yoga on the meadows. I have an instinctive distrust of spiritual leaders, but Swami Kriyananda wasn't at all what I expected. I left the meeting feeling energized. Where I live, the sound of traffic is incessant. There, it was so quiet you could hear birds, insects, the trees whispering in the wind. True silence is kind of overwhelming. I grew up in Manhattan. The closest I get to nature is Central Park. Here there were hardly even sidewalks, just footpaths from place to place. No cell phone reception either. It was so quiet my mind started racing. I wonder how many calls I've missed. Who are these people who have time to just sit like that? All right, time to focus. I was there to do a job. And that job involved interviewing people. I looked around for a likely candidate to talk with over breakfast. Hi, can I join you?
Hi, of course, yes.
I'm Juliet.
I'm Romina, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Good morning.
Hi.
You look like you're starting to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I like it here.
Good. This morning we're going to go meet some friends who have been with Swami Kriyananda since the beginning. Juliet, this is Jyotish and Devi, Ananda's spiritual directors.
Hi.
Hi, Juliet. How nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, we're glad you could come. Welcome to Ananda.
Thank you for inviting me. Is this a good time to start?
Sure,
Perfect.
great.
Okay.
In that case, I'm going to take off. I have a choir rehearsal to get to.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Bye, David.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
David tells me you're two of Swami Kriyananda's oldest friends. Where did you meet him originally?
Well, I met him in San Francisco in 1966. I'd read Autobiography of a Yogi and got his address, went and knocked on his apartment door, and he said, "Come in. I'm working on a project. Do you want to help?" And I said, "Sure." I just didn't realize it was a 45-year project.
He was a man with a mission, and he had the energy and the determination, one might even say the genius, to manifest Yogananda's vision for what he called world brotherhood colonies or communities.
And what was Yogananda's vision for a community?
First of all, it was to bring spirituality into everything that we're doing, into family, into business, into living, into everything. and also to integrate it on all levels of the personality, the physical body, the mind, the emotions, and of course the spirit. He wanted to create places that were living examples of that and where people could help each other to live that way, a completely integrated life. We have about 1,000 acres and 84 homes.
It's so beautiful.
There's a really special energy, and a lot of times when people come here, they can feel that. In fact, I think even the wild animals feel it.
We've lived here for so many years, and there's been so much conscious harmony with nature that I think the land really has become sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels that way here. But people are people. You must have conflict here. How do you deal with that?
That's where I've really seen the practice of meditation just change the way you interact with people. Because when you meditate, you're trying to get out of your ego. You're trying to get out of the perspective of this is who I am and this is what I want. And so when you interact with other people, you're trying to say, what's the bigger picture here? So instead of saying, what do I want? We ask the question, what's trying to happen here? And it really adds so much harmony to human life.
I can't imagine what it was like when you got here and there was nothing.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but when we first got here, it was just raw land, no buildings, nothing. And so our first challenge was basically how are we going to house ourselves? The first winter, we actually came upon the idea of doing teepees. And then we built some houses, and then we had to get income, so we had to really work hard the first few years. And then 6 years into the community in 1976, the big fire hit. There was a fire about 2 miles away, started along a road, and we heard all morning that it was getting closer and getting closer. And so right along here, we gathered maybe 15 or 20 of us. And I actually had a back pump with a nozzle that squirted. And I had the thought that I was going to go down and stop the fire in its tracks.
Now I know everything I need to know about you. That says a lot.
Yeah.
Our son had been born 10 days before the fire. That day, I had a doctor's appointment, so we drove into Nevada City. And then as we were coming back, we saw all the smoke. And I said, gosh, that's sort of near Ananda. And she said, yeah. Then we got closer and closer. We said, I think that is Ananda. Then we got here, and somebody came running up to me and said, your house burned down, your house burned down. And I kind of staggered inwardly. We had lived in a geodesic dome. The house was filled with leaks, and every time it rained, it was like living inside a sieve. I saw Jyotish coming down from where our house had been. He looked at me, and the first thing he said was, Davy, we don't have to worry about leaks anymore. It was so beautiful because in that moment, we could laugh and we could realize we hadn't lost anything because our security, our sense of home, our sense of happiness was inside ourselves. And you could take it all away and nothing was touched.
How did you rebuild this beautiful place?
Well, we obviously were ready to rebuild, but we didn't have any money, so we just had to really band together and work with each other. The fire had taken away 21 out of the 22 homes here.
People sent money, and not a whole lot, but enough to start the first building phase. And I was really proud of a decision that Jyotish made. He was the community manager at that time. And he said, you know, the people that are leaving, they need this money more than we do. We have each other, we have community. And so the first money that came in, even though it meant we couldn't start rebuilding right away, we gave it to the people that were leaving.
Why?
Well, you know, they were leaving the security of friendship and connections, and they were going out kind of on their own. They had to reestablish themselves. We figured we've got each other. We can just go on.
The cause of the fire was a faulty truck that belonged to Nevada County. It shot some sparks out and caught the dry grass. And so we weren't the only ones hit by the fire, but all of our neighbors. And they all threatened to sue the county and settled out of court for really millions of dollars. And we wrote a letter to the Board of Supervisors and we said, you know, we didn't come to Nevada County to take, we came to give, and we're not going to sue.
You know, we've always tried to live by the thought that if you do something right, righteousness, right action brings victory. And this was a test of that. Either you stand on your principles or you don't.
Right.
And we did. When you do that, a wind of grace comes behind you and helps everything work out.
How does the community support itself?
We have a mix of community-owned businesses and private enterprise. In fact, figuring out how to support ourselves was one of the first big challenges. It was really important for people to be able to have both the freedom and responsibility to do their own businesses. So we have things like builders, and we have a wonderful clinic. We have people working in nursing, hospice work. Most businesses, the bottom line is for profit, and they make their decisions around that. For us, our bottom line is to try to feel that we're doing the right thing in every circumstance. And it really makes us happy. It's more fulfilling for us than money.
It must be a little isolating here in this rural environment.
You know, the spirit of reaching out and serving and sharing with other people has been present. It's been one of our guiding principles from the very beginning. The very first building on the very first parcel of land we had was a temple for teaching people how to do yoga and meditation. And that set the tone for the whole rest of our development. And then when we hit the age of the internet, it just took on a whole new dimension. And we reached people really throughout the world. Last year we got comments and letters from 202 different countries. But it's the sense of sharing something that you know is going to help other people, you know is going to improve their life. We're part of the whole world family.
Davy's statements about internet outreach got me thinking about Ananda's younger generation. So I arranged to meet with some of Ananda's young webmasters.
How is Ananda spreading its teachings through the internet?
I think one of the most profound ways that we're able to spread our teachings on the internet is by offering so many people the opportunity to view talks by Swami Kriyananda and by the Ananda ministers, either in real time via live streaming or on demand anytime they want to by coming to ananda.org or any of our other websites.
I found Ananda through the internet myself and worked on the home study course. And I remember listening to people chanting at Ananda, and I felt like I was suddenly right there with them, that I had found my spiritual family.
Well, to listen to you guys speak, it sounds like you feel that the internet is like a step forward in the evolution of collective consciousness.
I think most people believe that technology is really driving innovation, driving the future, but I think it's just important to realize that we have, as a collective conscious, have an increasing level of awareness, and that increasing level of awareness brings about advances in science and medicine and even in our schooling system. And through that raising of consciousness, we're able to bring about greater advances in technology.
Within a 10-minute walk, you could find people harnessing the power of the internet, and others perfecting some of the oldest techniques of mankind.
Yo,
That was awesome. Have you always been a goat herder?
No, before this I was a deputy sheriff.
How did this happen?
It was something I felt inspired to do. There's something about doing something that's bigger than yourself that I think brings a lot of joy into your life. And I wanted to do it in a self-sustaining way, where the goats are actually eating from the land instead of just being fed bales of hay and grain. And these goats' milk is much more nutritious because of that.
So the babies stay with the moms, or?
Yeah, that's the big difference of our dairy. Most dairies will take babies away at birth because they'll get more milk. Those babies get the milk all day long. Not only are we self-sustaining, it's a humane dairy. We have 850 acres that has a lot of blackberries and star thistle, and they help keep down the fire danger because, you know, they're able to mow the land for us in places that the tractors have a hard time getting to. They have a job, and they're a really happy herd. They do the happy run.
I'm Peter.
Hi.
And I'm Joseph.
Hi.
We heard you were going to be in the community.
I hope I'm not interrupting you.
No, not at all. We've just been working on a class on the future of consciousness.
That sounds intriguing.
Yogananda said in 1900 we entered a new age of energy awareness. And that energy awareness has manifested through science and technology in this amazing transformation of the world around us. And there's also a greater and deeper awareness of life force that we're all experiencing, call it prana, chi, whatever. Yogananda said that those two, one outer, one inner, were going to usher in a very bright future. And you can see some of this transformation in the worldwide interest in meditation, in yoga, other practices like Tai Chi that are working with your own life force, controlling your life force. You also see it in medicine. You see a lot more energy-based medicine like acupuncture, chiropractic, and others.
It's an exciting time in medicine because we now understand that the brain is really much more changeable than we ever realized. If you went back even 30 years, there was this understanding that the brain really didn't change after about age 20. That's the model that we worked with. So if someone woke up at age 40 and realized that they had a tendency toward depression, or they were an alcoholic, or they had other aspects of their personality that they really wanted to change, here was their brain acting like this boat anchor, keeping them from being different. And what we know now is that, in fact, the brain is incredibly changeable, that it has many different ways to change both functionally and structurally. So really all our brain does is constantly monitor how we are behaving, who we're with, the kind of music we listen to, the thoughts we have in our mind, and it's constantly trying to reformulate itself, trying to maximize who you will be 6 months from now, essentially. And so if you decide to learn a new language, you take up meditation as a technique, your brain will begin to cooperate with each one of those processes and change in ways to let you do that better. New neurons are growing constantly. Where they grow and how they interconnect is the key. Because if they grow in areas of your brain that are very positive, like your prefrontal lobes, it's a very important area of your brain. It's called the executive function area of the brain. In fact, we find in people that meditate regularly, which is probably the best activity for awakening the prefrontal lobes and to really making that the center of your neurological function. That's the part of your brain that's when it's activated and stimulated, you feel happy, you feel like it's easy to learn new things, you feel creative, you actually get along with other people better, you feel kinder, more empathy toward other people. It's as though your brain has been designed for change and transformation.
Well, I was interested in meditation before, but now I think I have to try it.
Well, it's what we recommend to our patients routinely.
Right, exactly. I started out thinking of Ananda as a community existing in some kind of alternate reality, disconnected from the outside world. But the deeper I dug, the more I could see that their devotion to service kept them deeply involved with the rest of the world.
The school is definitely one of the treasures here at Ananda. In fact, when I first came here and found these teachings, I was 30 years old and I felt like I had wasted half of my life looking for happiness. And I was so jealous of these kids here at the school who are taught at such an early age what are the ways in which they can find their true happiness. I've got a daughter here who's 7 years old, and it's just so amazing to see how she just blossoms naturally here.
Move all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. Tall trees fall aside, every branch will I slash with the sword of freedom.
Our schools are based on a philosophy called education for life. Swami Kriyananda described it in one of his books a few years ago. We're child-centered rather than curriculum-centered. Most schools set up a curriculum that's, maybe it's artistic, most of the time it's intellectual. Some kids fit, most kids don't. When we start with each individual child and say, what are their strengths? What are they really interested in? What are their talents? And how can we help them develop those? You start out with a very natural self-confidence that children build because they are naturally good at different things. Every child's good at something. So we try to build that into these 4 tools of maturity. Each child has 4 different aspects of them that need to be developed in balance. The body, the feelings, the will, and the intellect. The body is kind of natural. You see the kids, playing games, finding rope swings to play on and things. And that works from 0 to 6 ages especially. From 6 to 12, they start to be able to work with their feelings.
Hi.
This is my daughter, Caitlin.
Nice to meet you. I'm Juliet. Hi.
We're gonna go play.
Good to see you guys.
Bye, Juliet!
Bye.
So during the feeling years, we're going to work with drama, stories, things that they can get excited about and get their feelings expressed. But in addition to expressing them, we want to learn how to direct their feelings in a constructive way. Erica, this is Juliet Palmer. She's a visiting journalist.
Juliet, nice to meet you.
She wants to know more about the school, and I was saying that you're really special in our school because she's not only one of the teachers, but she was a former student.
Oh, wow. That's real confirmation.
One of his students.
And we were talking outside about these tools of maturity and especially the feeling years, and I thought since you're teaching that age, you could give her some firsthand information.
Absolutely. One of the things that we do in this classroom every day is circle time. The children come together, we play cooperative games, we do role playing, we tell stories, we sing together, and we also practice quiet meditation. The children learn to still their bodies, to sit up straight and tall, to focus on their breathing, and they begin to develop their ability to concentrate and to become calm and centered in themselves.
We work with teenagers in a little different way, and maybe you could tell her a little bit about your experience being in the junior and senior high school here.
When I was in middle school, I participated in 2 service learning projects, and we went to Mexico and lived in orphanages for 2 weeks at a time. We cooked with them, we cleaned with them, we did these incredible beautification projects like painting murals and cleaning up areas of their campus so that they could continue on in a more uplifted space.
The essence of what we're trying to do with the teenagers is we're trying to help them expand their horizons, that they need new adventures. So if we can give them things like an orphanage trip or even just locally, like working at the animal shelter or working with autistic children, they get satisfied on that level of growth. If we don't give them that, they're going to find their adventures in other ways. They're going to go to the alcohol, the drugs, the sex, trying to get that deeper experience, but it doesn't compare at all to the real thing. Teenagers can really be a wonderful group of people to be around. They're so idealistic and energetic and creative, and those are things that our society as a whole doesn't cultivate. College years are all about the intellect and how to cultivate that part of life. The natural instinct of 18, 19, 20-year-olds is to stay up all night talking about philosophy, Nietzsche, or the different theories of civilization. And our job in this college is just to move that in a constructive direction. So we have majors like directional psychology, where you study what is it that makes people happy? How do they find that sense of fulfillment in life? Or world cultures and consciousness. How does different levels of consciousness affect countries and continents? So if you take all this together now, all 4 tools, you've got the body, which has become an asset to the person. It's not something that takes energy away from it, it adds to what they want to do in life. The feelings, where they know how to direct their feelings in constructive ways. They're not sidetracking things with emotions that don't help. The will is that they realize they have this tremendous tool, this dynamic energy that's at their disposal to make things happen in life. So with this whole person developed, they're, as Swami says in the title of the book, they're prepared to meet life's challenges. They're prepared to deal with life in a constructive way.
You see in all of us this ability to use our willpower and the perception that we have developed within ourselves to manifest whatever it is that inspires us.
Well, one comment we often get is that these students are different. They know who they are. It's a gift we'd like to spread just as broadly as we possibly can.
Awake my brain, be wise and strong. Awake my brain, be wise and strong.
Okay, guys, take 5. That was great.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Peter. You must be Juliet.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm the village manager here.
Tell me, what do you do as a village manager?
Well, with the help of a lot of friends, we take care of the land and we build the buildings, build the roads, get the water, get rid of the waste, and we do some planning for the future.
Community is really about people. So we've had a vision, but sort of make it up as we go. And it's been one big experiment with the people we have here and the resources that we have at the time. Here, we don't have a sense of individual ownership for our houses. It's much more of a community resource, and we steward the homes we live in, but we don't think of them as much as our own. We take care of the whole community as our home.
So there's a lot of talk about sustainability in the society. Where are you guys at with all of that planning?
Well, sustainability is really important. We have to find new ways to do things on this planet. And we're trying here. We've developed gardens and orchards. We have livestock animals, goats, chickens, bees. We cut firewood from our land. We generate energy from the sun. We pump all our own water or get it from the reservoirs we have. The wastewater goes back into our own land here. But it's also about stewarding the land. It's not just about us imposing what we want. It's what does the land need, and how do we take care of all the wildlife, all the critters that share the land with us here? And we're able to live simply here because we know that happiness comes from inside. And I think if everybody lived like Ananda does, there probably wouldn't be most of these problems in the world.
Slowly, I came to appreciate the community as more than an ideal. I began to see it as a gathering place of extraordinary people. Like Jamal, the monk who lives in India, who also happens to be a solar power developer.
I went to Yale with the intention of making a lot of money. But I soon realized that money in and of itself wasn't going to make me happy. That's one of the things that led me to Ananda and led me on to a spiritual search. I've been living in India for the last 8 years, traveling around installing solar panels all over. You can't go there and not feel a need in your heart to want to help people. Conditions there are so bad. Sometimes the electricity goes off for days, and you never know when it's coming back on. So we've been installing these solar panels, and we've come to realize that solar panels in and of themselves aren't the best thing. We need a way to store the energy. We've been storing the energy in batteries, and batteries are toxic and hard to dispose of, and they constantly need to be replaced. This has led us to developing a clean technology which stores the energy in a magnet. It can be much smaller and it can be much cheaper, and it's also very efficient. So we can take the sun, it comes into the solar panels, goes into DC current. That DC current is coiled around a permanent magnet and stores the energy in that permanent magnet, and then we're taking it out as a gross energy so that it can become 110 AC that you can plug your appliance right into.
How does your spiritual life inspire your scientific creativity?
These two things really do work together. They're not separate. When I feel that this is my work, then the inspiration is cut off. But when I feel that I can work with God and I say, God, what shall we do together today? Then the inspiration is always there. This invention that we're making, I'll be honest, we are doing it to make some money. Not a tremendous amount of money, but because I'm a monk, I'm not looking to make that money for myself. I want to use that money to serve the larger Ananda community and use the invention to serve the whole world. And in that way, I feel happier. We can probably define spirituality as, does it make you feel happy?
I'm happy, aren't I? What is happiness anyway? Is it really, like Jamal says, serving others? I'm not exactly the serving type. And if you have to believe in God to be happy, that just seems unfair. I'm happiest when I'm doing good work, which means I'm happy a small part of the time, and the rest I feel anxious, competitive, like there's always a goal that's just out of reach. Most of the people I had spoken to had come to Ananda as young adults. Many had been here since the late 1960s and early 1970s. I was curious about the younger generation, what it was like to grow up in the community. So David arranged for me to meet the Kretzmans, who had just welcomed the third generation of their family into Ananda. This must be a really joyous time for your family with a new baby.
It's very special, but it's bittersweet because my husband and their father died several weeks before the baby was born, and he's a very special man.
I had heard that. I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time with me today.
Oh, well, we're glad to have you visit.
What was it like raising these beautiful children in a spiritual community? Do you feel like they had the freedom to think for themselves?
Well, we wanted to do that. Our duty, we felt, was to give them a pure childhood and then let go. So we never forced them to meditate, but we used prayers and stories to awaken within them their own spiritual seeds that we already had felt even since infancy.
I hear stories of people living in cities and so on where you don't even know your next door neighbors. And here we have like 200, 250 people that you feel like are your dear friends. They're like spiritual family, people that are looking out for you, like for your soul.
But then to also be born into this remarkable family within the community, this isn't just luck of the draw. This isn't just chance. There's something more at work here.
When my husband and I got here, Swami was given a week-long series on many spiritual topics, and one of which was conscious conception.
Conscious conception? Can you explain that to me?
Well, souls are already formed or have lived many lives, and they have many qualities. So the love of the parents will draw the soul, but there's certain ways of praying and being that can heighten that experience and draw souls that are very high-minded into your family. And of course, it would be high-minded parents who will want to do that. And with each of the children, I did feel their soul quality early in infancy, and even at the conception, you could feel the fully formed soul nature.
So do you guys feel like you were willed into this family? Did you choose this family?
There is a feeling that we've been together before. Like it goes deeper than personality, deeper than just our day-to-day lives. I think there's an attunement with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me think that it's possible. Yeah.
Did you ever want to leave the community and have other experiences like college, regular college, not Ananda College?
I guess sometimes you try to look for the typical teenage experience and that adventure that comes from something outside the community. I've been able to get that experience by going to college in Kentucky, and really to have that opportunity to live on my own where I'm not just outside the community, I'm on the other side of the country. Then it's not just me staying in Ananda just because my parents were here. It's me choosing it because I realize it is the best way to live and it is the right spiritual path for me.
During high school, I remember having the feeling that I just desperately wanted to be normal. And we had this.
We all have that feeling.
I mean, I had such an alternative, in private schools and the spiritual path, just all this stuff. It was going into high school just with that end in mind, going to the public high school, just thinking why I wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
And I realized that here at Ananda, there was a whole community of people that were doing their very best to live up to the highest within them. And so it really showed me that there was something of great value that was going on here.
The period when my father got sick was around Thanksgiving, and through most of that time when the cancer was getting worse, I was thinking to myself, how could anyone possibly go through, a family crisis like this without the support of a community? Because we had people here, praying, meditating, but also the more mundane physical activities like cleaning the house and helping my dad get in and out of bed. These people had interacted with Dad so much that they realized how special of a person he was.
Early on, a friend of Tim's started a men's prayer group, and they would meet Sunday nights here. Those men all bonded and spoke more deeply than they used to. They'd been lifelong friends, but they didn't pour their hearts out normally. It was a deep bonding experience.
In some ways, when we were reflecting on Dad's life, we realized that we had more or less had a fairy tale upbringing. It wasn't perfect, of course, but it was a charmed upbringing.
You did a good job, Mom.
Oh, thanks.
It was time to learn about Ananda Yoga firsthand. I've done some yoga in my life, but I'd never meditated. I was curious, and also a little skeptical.
Well done. Good job. We'll go into this more tomorrow. Namaste.
Gyan Dave, I'd like to introduce Juliet.
Hi, Juliet.
How are you?
Wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome. So glad you could come.
Thank you.
I'll leave you to it.
Okay, great.
So have you practiced yoga before?
A couple of workouts.
Okay, well, Ananda Yoga is not workout yoga. It is work-in yoga, where we use the postures to go inside and to uplift our consciousness. Every position of the body has an effect on the flow of energy in the body, which in turn affects your state of mind. And each posture has a different effect on that energy. So we weave them together to lift energy up to the brain, to bring yourself into a state of calm, vibrant awareness, and to expand your sense of who you are. Now, bodily positions alone aren't going to do that. Okay. We need to use the power of the mind. And in Ananda Yoga, one way that we do that is through the use of affirmation. Every asana has its own affirmation specially crafted to amplify the natural effect of the physical position on your state of mind. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Breathe through the entire length of the body, especially the spine. Lengthen up and over to the side. And keep your shoulders relax down. Like you're breathing the life force through the entire body, vitalizing it. You silently affirm strength and courage. Fill my body cells. Okay, just bring your arms up and steady your position. And concentrate on the spine. Feel your spine like the trunk of one of those giant pine trees out across the meadow. So it's full of vibrant life, reaching for the sky, and silently affirm, I am calm. I am poised. Inhaling, reach, reach, reach through the spine as you fold at the hip joint, coming over as far as that hip will allow you, and then hold your position. Just relax the left arm down, right arm comes up. Silently affirm, energy and joy flood my body cells. Joy descends to me. Let's inhale, reach tall, turn to the right leg, and offer yourself forward. Just feel you're offering your whole being, long spine. Just offering yourself into life, not holding anything back. Keep the length as you release back, keeping the heart lifting, opening, lots of space through the back of the neck. Silently affirm, with calm faith, I open to thy light. I'm going to teach you a very simple classical meditation technique that will take you into deep inner stillness. It'll also stimulate the prefrontal lobes of your brain and give you a taste of your own spiritual potential. Okay. So, let's sit upright, nice long spine, just like you're sitting now, palms up, resting in your lap. Close the eyes and behind closed eyelids, lift your gaze slightly above horizontal, as though you're looking at a distant mountaintop. And just keep your body and eyes in this position. Take a full inhalation, complete exhalation, and then let go of the breath. Don't control it anymore, just let the body breathe as it wants to. And you just observe the breath as it flows in and out through the nose. Concentrate on it wherever you feel it most easily.
I came out of it thinking, wow, that could be good for me. After a few days there, I didn't even miss walking on sidewalks. Then I came upon a strange sight in the woods. Hi.
Hi.
What are you doing here?
We're playing a game. It's called Meet a Tree. It's from my book, Sharing Nature with Children.
Oh, I know that book. Are you Joseph Cornell?
Yes, I am.
What are you doing here?
I live here.
Wow. How long have you lived here?
37 years.
From the beginning.
Almost.
So how does your spirituality influence your work?
Well, nature, God, and beauty are all synonymous terms. And when we feel a sense of expansion in nature, a sense of joy in our surroundings, well, then we're really sharing God with other people. And so being at Ananda, being in this environment, has really helped me to go deeper into that experience and then be able to share it with other people.
How does one have a deepened experience with nature?
By internalizing your experience. If you're looking at trees in a forest or across a pond and seeing the wind blow across its surface, try to take it inside. Try to feel its living reality inside yourself and try to feel that for 5-10 seconds. And if you do that with everything you see, you start to feel that nature's not out there separate from you, but in here in your own heart.
And why is it important for people to have a oneness with nature, do you think?
People are rightly concerned about the ecological crisis that we face today. A lot of people are trying to change the world, and this is good, very good, and it's essential. But I think it's more important to become the world in your own consciousness, because when we feel a part of things, a sense of belonging, of course we'll want to take care of it.
I've been an advocate for the environment all my life. I've even been called a tree hugger by the press. But nothing prepared me for some of the far-out ideas embraced by the heads of the Ananda farm.
The community eats a lot of vegetables each year, so a lot of our produce is just picked from the field and served at the market or the Expanding Light. We grow tons of tomatoes, we grow tons of lettuce, we grow tons of carrots, we grow herbs of 50 types.
Easily.
Yeah, 30 crops.
And about 500 different trees, shrubs, medicinal plants, and then a lot of annual crops as well. So we're focusing on the long-term planting for many generations, as well as the daily, weekly, and monthly needs of people who live here and all around as well.
Based on the work that Luther Burbank, the American scientist, did on communion with plants, that's also a part of our farm that would probably differentiate it from a lot of other organic farms.
What do you mean communing with the plants?
Talking to them, feeling their energy, feeling what they need, checking out their state, not only by visual and scientific methods, but also just by intuition. How do the plants feel? What do they need?
Is it something you verbalize or is it something you feel?
It's important to do both because the intuition is what's guiding us from our inner guidance, but then also sometimes we need to verbally chant, sing, pray with the plants, and it's a communication through vibration. Just like every human has a guardian angel, every plant has a deva, or a nature intelligence, which helps it grow and expand itself and flourish into its greatest expression, just like we do.
We can do some tastings.
You should. David Dashi should give you a tour and see what you think.
Okay, great.
Juliet, this is my husband, Alex.
Hi. How do you do, Juliet?
Nice to meet you.
Would you like a strawberry? They're just picked.
Mmm,
Good.
amazing, so good. Thank you.
You're most welcome. This is a permaculture garden. It's different than other gardens. It mimics the wild forest. The plants are all varied. They mix together. They help one another. They help the soil. They help the insects. The insects help the plants. That's why nothing is in a straight line. All of these plants chose their spot. And so it will turn out the way it turns out, much better than we could have imagined or designed it. Because of a number of these kind of practices, we're building topsoil at the same time that we're growing food instead of diminishing it. The soil just improves every year by this practice.
So we put a fair amount of energy in now to create and plant plants that are useful to humans, but over time we're hoping our grandchildren and their grandchildren will be able to come here and feast.
It's a magic garden.
It is a magic garden, and we could all live this way.
It all began in 1967, when Kriyananda bought 67 acres as part of a larger purchase with Buddhist teacher Richard Baker and poets Gary Snyder and Allen Ginsberg. On a remote mining road a few miles away from the current Ananda Village, this land now serves as a meditation retreat. In the beginning, the young community lived here in teepees and trailers and handmade domes as they started on their spiritual path. It was here I met some of the leaders of Ananda satellite communities from around the world.
For much of the last 10 years, I've been in India. We first landed in Gurgaon, which is a city outside of Delhi, and we served there for a few years, and then we shifted down to Pune, where we're starting a community down in Maharashtra. Yogananda predicted that in the future, East and West would ultimately find unity. The practical efficiency of the West would blend with the practical spiritual efficiency of the East. And what I'm seeing in India is a tremendous change taking place in that country. It's coming up, and you find that now you have a very, very modern India, in addition to also an ancient traditional India. And as the East and the West unify, it's an amazing experience, and it's been my great pleasure and good fortune also to be able to be a part of that. It's a simple community right now. We've got about 20, 25 people living there. We've got a few houses. We've got a beginning of a temple that's under construction right now. And we're building a large series of flats, a complex of flats and units for 29 people. When those are finished, families will be able to take up residence there in Pune. And once that happens, of course, we want to have a school, we want to have a medical clinic, we want to have all of the things that we've developed here in the Ananda community, but in its own way. The best of the East and the best of the West are coming together to create something new. And I've been very fortunate to be able to participate in that.
Shivani, where are you?
Well, in a way, I'm kind of a global Ananda citizen. I live and travel in many countries, but mainly in Europe. My husband and I have been based there for the last 30 years. Our center is in the spiritual heart of Italy, in Umbria, near the city of Assisi. That's where St. Francis lived. And it has just a wonderful vibration. And we've developed there a meditation and yoga retreat. People come from all over Europe. They love to stay there. We have lots of children now, and so we have our own schools. We have a temple that's really iconic. We call it the Temple of Light. And when people come there, they just feel the light that's in them, and they feel the light that's in the world. One of the buildings where our retreat used to be has bullet holes in it from the Second World War. And today, Americans, Germans, Italians, we're living there, studying there in harmony. It's really wonderful. When people learn to live together and really respect and share and come together, especially in meditation, then peace is possible.
Living in nature is very supportive of the spiritual life, but not everyone has the desire or freedom to live in a place like this. And that's one of the reasons why we have all of our urban communities, where people can come and see what it's like to live in spiritual community and also have their same job, their same family situation and everything if they need to be or want to be in the city. All of these communities have temples where people come together, whether they live in an apartment complex that forms the residential part of the community, or whether they just have their own homes nearby. We have communities in Seattle, in Portland, in Palo Alto, Sacramento, and of course also in Los Angeles. And I hope the next time you're in LA, you'll come visit us.
I would really love that. Thank you.
I'm always curious to see inside people's homes. Alex and David Ossie from the farm were kind enough to invite me to tea in their home, which Alex built according to an ancient Indian science.
This house is beautiful.
Part of what you're feeling is the energies that the house is drawing in. It was designed according to Vastu, the ancient Vedic science, 12 to 15,000 years old. And this science sees the proportioning and design of a space as actually a radio receiver, drawing in divine cosmic energy right to the center of the Brahmastan, this spot.
People in blue are Naya Swamis, members of a new order of Swamis founded by Kriyananda. Swamis are teachers who have dedicated their lives to God. I sat down with them to learn about their deeper teachings.
Karma is cause and effect. It's a beautiful image. If you think of every action you put out has a kind of an energy to it. An action could be done with kindness and concern for another person, could be done out of selfishness or greed, and it creates an energy. And that energy is like half of a circle. And that circle must complete itself in the same way as it was begun. So if you've put out greedy energy, you will inevitably draw to yourself someone treating you in the same way that you've treated them. So it's a way of learning from your own experience.
So is it your karma that you're here at Ananda?
Pretty much everything is karma. It's your karma that you're here at Ananda. Reincarnation and karma go together. And it takes many more than 80, 90 years of a human life. And so we believe that the soul just keeps taking a journey, each life learning more, starting from where it left off until it reaches final self-realization.
Which is enlightenment.
Enlightenment.
Then what happens?
Well, self-realization is the state where there's no more lessons to learn. You've understood that everything is divine, everything that comes to you is God intended. Every experience, you have the opportunity for bliss. You never lose touch with that. And then he lives as a master, like Buddha, like Christ, like Yogananda. Free souls who live in this world and show us how we can attain the same state of self-realization that they have attained.
So I'm wondering, how do you handle death at Ananda?
There was a death in the community that really, I think, changed all of us, the young woman. And when she knew the end of her life was coming, she called all her friends. There was about 25 of us. And we all moved into the hospital with her. And for the last 3 days of her life, she felt, well, we've spent our life together. Why don't you now just spend my death with me? And we watched her finish her karma. She lay there day after day trying to think of anything that wasn't resolved. And she asked people to come and see her, or she called them on the phone and tried to make peace with absolutely everything. And then finally, when there was really nothing left, that last evening, when it was becoming night and some of us were sort of sleeping here and there in the hospital, Paula very deliberately took out of her nose the supplemental oxygen. And when we saw her do that, we realized she'd made her decision. And then she lay down, and maybe for an hour or two, everything was quiet. And then she woke up and sat up and seemed very concentrated. And then she said very quietly to all of us, "This is very hard. You have to help me." And then we started chanting Om very quietly and steadily in the room. Om is the sound of the spirit, the transition between this world and the next. So we're all chanting Om and just listening to Paula breathe in and breathe out. And then after a few moments, she opened her eyes and she looked up and she said, "God, Christ, Guru." And then she closed her eyes again. And a few minutes later, there was that long exhalation as the spirit leaves. And just as that long exhalation came out of her, it was as if that breath itself transformed into like a mighty angel. And I felt like a wind go over my head. And it was as if released from her body, it was like our souls came together. And I just began to weep. I couldn't contain myself. And I said, "I had no idea we were so close." When you see people die like that, you think, oh, what is there to be afraid of? It's the end of life for everyone. Let's just accept it with the grace in which God has given it to us.
There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air.
Swami Kriyananda says that if you want to know him, listen to his music. Listening to the Ananda choir, I understood what David told me on the first day, that beneath the simplicity of the music, there was some indefinable, uplifting power.
It's only the thought that they're bound. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. There's joy all around us, why wait till tomorrow? We've only this moment to live. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. Life is a dream, time like a stream carries our burdens away.
life's cares to the sky. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh.
Morning. Do you think we could see Swami today?
I'm sure he'd be happy to see you.
So how do you manage to be a man of the world but still live here and be devoted to your spiritual life?
Well, I try to see everything that I do, whether it's washing the dishes or cooking dinner or performing on stage, as an opportunity to open myself more and more completely to a flow of divine grace. And if I see everything as an act of service instead of what's in it for me, then everything seems to go much more smoothly. Even in meditation, if Caitlin comes in and wants to snuggle, I try to see her for the divine gift that she is in my life.
Swami, Juliet is here.
Oh, welcome. Come in.
Hello, Swami.
Good to see you again. How did it go? What were your impressions? I'm eager to hear everything.
Thank you for seeing me again,
Thank you
Swami.
for coming.
I've really loved my time here.
I'm so glad.
Now that I've been here, I think that people might be very interested in communities. I've learned so much about how Ananda works. But one of the things I've thought about is that perhaps God would be a problem for some people when they think about the community and themselves being in it. Can a community exist without the idea of God?
I don't know. I suppose it can, but it certainly helps a lot. It helps to feel that you're serving a higher cause. But yes, I think communities can exist if people like to be together, if they like to share, if they like to give. But you know, everything needs to be tied to a knot, and God ties that knot.
You talked about two different energies, one that's an upward, giving, selfless energy, and one that's a selfish energy. What can I do as one person to be a part of the solution?
This is the story of the Bhagavad Gita, the battle between the upward and the downward moving forces in ourselves. All the people in the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata, of which that's a part, are really meant to be parts of our own self, the citizens of our consciousness. We're a whole nation of qualities in ourselves. And what we need to do is try to get more and more citizens to go toward an upward direction of happiness, kindness, love, and so on. You know, when you think from ego, this is your center of your ego. That's why people who are proud have they say they look down their noses at people. And yet, when you become spiritual, his sense of self is here. And the more you can bring that sense of self forward to here, to the point between the eyebrows, the more you find that your mind goes upward and everything you do is without ego. Ego is the biggest stumbling block.
You talked a little bit about communities changing the world. How can a few small communities have such a grand effect on society?
You know, society pretty well cancels itself out. Some people want to go left, some people want to go right, and there's all canceled out. You have a few people with strong ideals they change the world. Look at the disciples of Jesus. Only 12 of them, and one of them betrayed him. And yet they, because they really believed what they were doing, they've changed the whole world. Buddha had only a few disciples, and yet they changed the whole Eastern world. Only a few people, if they really believe in what they're doing, they can change all humanity. So what we have to understand is that we're all brothers on this planet. Brothers and sisters, we all have the same basic desire. Everybody is looking for happiness. I wrote a song, you know, because I've lived in many countries myself. I've mixed with many races of people. I know many languages. And I wrote this song, Brothers. I'd love to sing it for you if you'll hear it.
Yes, I would love that.
I've been in many countries and mixed with many men. I've shared the days of sunshine, gone with them in the rain. The fires at evening said we were brothers. The fires at evening said we were brothers. A soldier I saw weeping beside a dying friend. My officers had preached I must hate him till the end. But seeing his grief I knew we were brothers. But seeing his grief I knew we were brothers.
A man sat on a doorstep to see the children play. The gentle way he smiled there would charm your fears away. A stranger he, but love made us brothers. A stranger he, but love made us brothers.
One day I climbed a mountain with friends of other lands.
The words we used were different, but joy one understands. Our gladness in God's world made us brothers. Our gladness in God's world made us brothers. Diverse le parole e la mentalità, ma dentro ogni uomo c'è la divinità che dice siete tutti fratelli, che dice siete tutti fratelli. The words and customs vary like waves upon the sea. One life beneath the surface binds everyone to me. Who knows himself knows all men as brothers. Who knows himself knows all men as brothers. Then brothers, why endeavor to set ourselves apart? The fences we've been building squeeze tight upon our hearts.
Come sing the truth that all men are brothers. Come sing the truth that all men are brothers. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going back to New York tomorrow.
I shall miss you.
How can I hold on to this feeling of peace that I've gotten here?
Well, keep in touch. I'd love to. You can always come back. It's not that far away. And you can even start a community of your own. It's valid. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Just get a few friends, buy some land in the country. And if you can't stay there full time, at least go there on weekends. Be a kind and loving family, and you can make it work. It's just an extended family.
Is there a last message you'd like to share with my readers in this article?
Don't live to be unhappy, live to be happy. If you live to be happy, you'll find the things that make you happy. And as you do that, you find that sharing with others makes you much happier than taking from them. That's the whole trouble in our world today. Everybody taking from everybody else, greed. There's much more happiness in being kind, try to think how I can be kinder to people, how I can help people. I see that in you already, and I think you're headed in that direction. You can say this too, and I mean it from my heart. Give them my love.
Thank you. Swami, will you bless me?
I would be happy to and honored to.
Juliette, it has been so delightful to have you here with us, and especially wonderful to see your unfolding joy and enthusiasm and appreciation of being in an environment like this. You know, for the past 40 years, this community has been consciously creating a positive alternative to the forces that are tearing the world apart. The greed and the selfishness, the hatred and the violence. But here, all the beauty you see around you, the gardens and the land and the people and the music, really they're not important in and of themselves, but they're very, very important for the living principles that are behind them: cooperation and harmony and selfless service to others. And now, Juliette, you have a big responsibility because you have to tell this story well so that people can know there is the potential to live on a daily basis their ideals and their higher principles, and that they can be part of a wave of higher consciousness that's changing our planet. You have our abiding friendship and love and support.
Thank you. Can I say a few words?
Please, come on.
Well, I'm not very good at giving speeches, so I'll make this short and sweet. I just wanted to thank all of you for your kindness and openness to my being here. It really made a world of difference. I don't really know what I expected to find when I came here, but it's not exactly what I found. I found a group of extraordinary people living in harmony, and I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm very inspired by what you've created here. My mother used to say that when two people meet, their souls are changed forever. And I thank you for changing me. Thank you.
After only a week there, I could feel myself yearning for a better way to live. I was beginning to reject my old cynicism, my journalistic instinct of seeking out the bad in people for a story. I was determined to be more open to life, more deeply in touch with my friends and loved ones.
I'll never forget this experience.
I'm glad that it's proved so worthwhile. See you again, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Welcome back.
Hi.
You look different.
I am different.
Seriously. You know, I sent you there to get a story, not to go to a spa.
I did get a story, and I learned to meditate and a couple other things.
But you look nice. Maybe I should take a trip there, huh?
Yeah, maybe you should.
Come here while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May. My song is the story of deer on the hills, of larks that soar seeking the sun, of nightingales lifting the curtain of night, as with music they bring down heaven's blessing of light. Oh, my song is the story of God's blessing of light. Come join me in singing of that emerald isle, of flowers that like jewels besprinkle the lea, of waterfalls eager to embrace the white sea, as we with our Maker united would be, as we with our Maker reunited would be. Come here while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May. Many hands make a miracle. Let's all join hands together. Life on earth is so wonderful. When people laugh and dance and struggle as friends, then all their dreams achieve their ends. Many hands make a miracle. People climbing together. Soon we reach to the pinnacle of every mountain peak we hazard as one. We lift our hands to welcome the sun. Many hands make a miracle. Let's all join hands together. Life on earth is so wonderful. When people laugh and dance and struggle as friends, then all their dreams achieve their ends. Many hands make a miracle. People climbing together. Soon we reach to the pinnacle of every mountain peak. We hazard as one. We'll lift our hands to welcome the sun. We'll lift our hands to welcome the sun. We'll lift our hands to welcome the sun.